You guys, I bumbled. So this video that you're watching is a video I published about 4 days ago. And after about 4 days and 4,000 views, I realized that I accidentally deleted the music from the video. So there was long periods of awkward dead silence in the video. I think one of the sweetest comments that was left when I made the announcement on my community page that I had forgotten to put the music in this video was somebody said, "It's okay, I found it refreshing." I don't know why I thought that comment was just so funny. I started laughing out loud. This probably goes without saying, but you guys, it has been an extremely bumpy past 6 weeks for me personally. Anyways, I've redone the sound in this video for you, or the music portion. By the way, I have started uploading recipes at the blog again for your convenience. The recipes are printable, so you can go straight to the blog and print off recipes. I even have my sourdough recipes on there for you. It couldn't be easier because all you have to do is go there and hit the print button. Towards the end of the video, there is a devotional as usual, and today's devotional is on the importance of teaching our children about the Lord. And at the end of the video, I have a very special section. For some of you, it may be boring, but I think some of you might enjoy it. I am actually going to be bringing you guys along as I teach 2 of my older children how to make soup. So you guys kick back and relax. And if you're watching this video for the second time, one, thank you, because the views help get this video seen by more people. Even if you only watch like 30 seconds of this video, it helps the video to be shown to more people. And every single view helps me out so much. And number 2, if you're watching this a second time, you'll get to see it with the music that it was intended to have the first time around.
In today's video, I have some cheap, healthy family meals on a budget and a little bit of homemaking for you.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know,
Last year we were so blessed to be able to grow so much from our mountain homestead garden that we don't have to go to the store as often as we normally have to go. There are still a few things that we do have to go to the store for though.
You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high, even if the sky is falling down.
But I think that's too much mayo.
Friends, I've packed this video for you with meal ideas from over the course of about a week and a half. From bagels to salad dressing, ideas of things that you can do with your sourdough, which, by the way, be sure to check out my latest sourdough video with all the sourdough things. And of course, soups and so much more. So stick around to the end for some delectable meal inspiration. First up on the list of things I'm making today is a soup. Soup is one of the most affordable things that you can make, and there are just so many different kinds of soups. I'm going to start out with making a cheeseburger soup. I made one maybe 10, 15 years ago, so most of my kids have never tasted cheeseburger soup, and I decided I would like to try it and see if they love it. I think cheeseburger soup is just one of those super fun soups. I am, of course, using my favorite knife, my Nakano knife. I've talked in my videos before about Nakano. I am in the process of switching all of my knives over to Nakano because of how high quality and amazing these knives are. This time of year, I like to use my wood cook stove to make a lot of soups on. I'm gonna go ahead and saute my onions. This stove is one of my favorite things about the home that we moved into. I just love this thing. It takes a little bit of knack to get used to.
I like to use the wood cook stove this time of year. It's already fired up, it's already hot. May as well conserve energy and use the wood cook stove since it's already going. I like to start soups about 2 to 3 hours in advance, because I don't normally have the wood cook stove burning super hot. So sometimes soups need a little bit of time to simmer. And of course, a slow cooked soup that has simmered for hours is the best.
On the ledge of my stove here, I have my first batch of ciabatta bread. I am going to try ciabatta for the first time ever. Instead of using flour to thicken my soup, I'm going to use potatoes because I like to limit the amount of non-fermented wheat that our family consumes. Fermented wheat, like what you get in sourdough, is just so much easier on the digestion. And since we already eat a lot of wheat through the sourdough, I like to use alternatives in other recipes when I can. In addition to that, we have so many potatoes to use up that we grew in our garden last year. So I figure they will be perfect in this soup. As I make dinner, the younger kids are expanding on their living room fort making skills, and they're getting quite elaborate in here. Homeschooling has been going very well. We've been getting done each day by about 2 or 3. And at the time of making this video, we were experiencing an extreme cold spell. We had a week of 0 and below 0 temperature. So it's the perfect time of year for living room forts. In this scene, you can see in the distance, I've got a gallon of homemade chicken broth. This is all going to be going into the soup. And I've got my potatoes all chopped here. I've already put the broth in this pot, and now I'm adding the potatoes, and I'm just gonna let them simmer until they are done. Once they're done, I will cream them with my immersion blender. I'm also going to add some celery. So you will probably be using just fresh celery, and to this I would do probably like about 1/2 cup. I have dried celery from our garden, so that's what I'm going to be using. So I'm only going to be using about 1/4 cup of dried celery. I'm also going to add some parsley to this. You can add basil or thyme to this, kind of whatever seasonings that your family really loves. Something I should have added but did not is shredded carrots. Shredded carrots are a great thing to add to this soup as well, and of course they boost the nutrition. So I've been letting this simmer for quite some time, probably about 1.5 to 2 hours, and I've got my hamburger over here. I did not do enough hamburger, so the kids weren't too crazy about it until I added more hamburger. Obviously I was trying to conserve some meat, but this is one of those soups that does definitely taste better with more hamburger. I mean, it is cheeseburger soup after all. I have immersion blendered the soup. As I was immersion blendering, I added about 2 to 3 cups of cheddar cheese and some sour cream, maybe about 1 cup of sour cream. I also added a couple tablespoons of mustard and some ketchup, and then I added pickle relish. I have my own home canned pickle relish, so I added about 1.5 pints. And over here, we have something I'm super excited about. I've always tried to figure out how to make ciabatta bread, and I finally figured it out. But this isn't just any ciabatta. This is sourdough ciabatta bread. It turned out perfectly. The crumb was amazing. It had the perfect pockets for capturing loads of butter. The family went so crazy about this that the next day, my husband and I were texting, and I asked him if there was anything I could do for him that day. He said, well, you could make some more of that ciabatta bread and we could make some sandwiches. That is what we did. Ciabatta bread is one of the more difficult breads to make. If you guys would like to know how I made mine, let me know in the comments below. I wouldn't recommend making ciabatta bread if you've never had any experience making any bread at all. If you're new to bread making, definitely watch the video that I will link to at the end of this video and that I will put in the description box below. It's my complete bread making sourdough guide. So my husband requested these super simple but ever so delicious sandwiches. They are a combination of cheeses, avocados, which are on sale this time of year, so it's a great time to incorporate avocados into your foods. We've got some tomatoes and bacon also, which we found on sale, and of course mayonnaise. Speaking of sales, one of the ways that we keep on top of sales and seeing what is on sale is through the newspapers. I don't get out very often, especially this time of year, so my husband does a lot of the grocery shopping. And every time he goes into the grocery store, he always goes and checks for the sales, especially in the meat department. In these scenes, my husband is making breakfast. He makes breakfast for us probably 2 Saturdays a month lately, and his breakfasts are always the best. But our usual go-to breakfast consists of eggs and toast or oatmeal, and it never fails. There's always a little bit of oatmeal left over, and it's cooked. Oftentimes, I'll end up with a considerable amount of oatmeal left over in the fridge. Something super delicious that you can do with that leftover oatmeal is you can put it in your bread dough when you're making bread. As you're measuring out all of your ingredients into your KitchenAid or mixer, simply just dump that oatmeal right in there with it. You don't really have to adjust the recipe generally, but it's a great way to use up leftover oatmeal. So that's what I have in this scene. I have some sandwich bread that I'm making. I told the kids I would make them Subway sandwiches this week for lunch. So Subway sandwiches, homemade, might not seem that affordable, but if you pay attention, you'll find lots of sales and affordable meats, and you can fill these sandwiches up with less expensive foods and vegetables. Another thing is making your own bread. We have calculated the cost. If we were to buy all of our bread and bread products from the store, it would cost us around $200 a month. It costs me around 30 something though for the ingredients to make our own. So by making our own bread, I save our family around $160 a month. I don't remember the brand of meat I used on these, but I know it was one of the healthier brands. We also have 2 different kinds of cheeses, lots of lettuce, some salami, and pickles. Homemade Subway sandwiches are one of the kids' favorite lunches. The living room forts have started going up a little earlier every day, and now it's to the point where the kids build their little forts and then started doing their reading for school in here. This fort's so grand I could actually walk inside and stand up. On this particular day, my 3rd grade daughter was enjoying the space so much that she decided to study her science for an additional 2 hours. And it's kind of neat because it was this particular day that she discovered she loves science. In these scenes, I'm making bagels, and I discovered a secret. It's probably not a secret. I think probably most people know it. But if you put a tablespoon of salt and a tablespoon of baking soda to a gallon of boiling water to boil your bagels in, it really improves the outside flavor and gives them more of a bagel taste that we all acquaint with bagels. For these bagels, it is just my basic sourdough bread recipe, which you can find in that video that I keep referring to. And what I did is I simply worked the recipe just like in that video, and then I let the dough rise overnight. The next morning, I pulled the dough out and let it rise on the counter until it was soft enough to work with. So in my home, with the temperature that my home stays, it took about an hour. And again, that's because I put it in that really warm spot on the ledge over on my wood cook stove. Once the dough had nearly doubled, I took it out of the pan, as you can see here, and I started to form the bagels. Now comes another trick that I learned when making bagels. So I'm putting these on a piece of wax paper, and I'm going to let them rise until they're doubled. Then I'm going to pop them in the freezer for about 30 minutes or until they're getting fairly firm. This makes them a lot easier to work with, and it helps them to hold a better shape when you go put them in the boiling water. When you put them in the boiling water, you just want to boil them for about a minute per side. Definitely want to be careful not to overcrowd the pan, or you'll have a big doughy goopy mess all stuck together. Make sure you have your egg wash all ready to go, as well as a greased cookie sheet. In fact, I would go a step further than what I did here. After doing it this way, I would actually cook these on parchment paper. You want to have your oven preheating to about 425 degrees. And I did learn since making these that it's better if the water is not quite boiling. If it is just a bit under boiling, it reacts better with the natural yeast in the sourdough, and they will rise a little bit higher. Now, the purpose of the baking soda is to give them that more chewy, pretzel-like flavor. I am making these bagels to have on hand as a replacement for toast, just to mix things up a little bit for the kids. But did you know you can make bagel sandwiches as well? They're delicious. Cream cheese, turkey, bagel, so good. You'll want to bake these for about 12 to 15 minutes.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of home. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way. We got everything here, at least to stay alive. And the time that we share makes it all worthwhile. Got this place on our own. Do you feel that we got something strong?
So it turned out that my husband and I and only a couple of the kids were super crazy about the hamburger soup, which was strange to me. I thought all the kids were going to go crazy over it. So what I'm doing is I'm adding more hamburger to the soup and I'm putting it into freezer jar. See the difference between the regular jar and the freezer jar? The freezer jar is a lot thicker and it will not break when you go to freeze your soups in it. So I love having these freezer jars on hand to freeze soup for my husband's lunches through the week. Anyways, I'm going to put a couple of these in the fridge for him and the rest are going to go in the freezer. I'm going to make some salad dressings. Now, making your own salad dressing is usually so much healthier than any salad dressing you would find on a generic grocery store shelf. Our two top favorite salad dressings are an Italian salad dressing and a Caesar salad dressing, both of which I will share on my blog. I have the recipe already for the Caesar salad dressing. And if I don't have the Italian salad dressing up at the time of posting this video, I will have it shortly. When you do your own salad dressings, you'll find that if you use lids like this, they will rust though. So you want to get a different kind of lid to go on your jars if you're using mason jars. This one here is a leak-proof lid. They're a little bit more pricey than the regular white lids, but they don't leak, so you won't have salad dressing all over your fridge. Potatoes. Oh my gosh, you guys, we just found the most amazing potato recipe. Look it up. It is Greek lemon potatoes. These were insanely good. It's one of our new favorite ways to do potatoes. To make these, you need about 2 to 3 pounds of potatoes, about 3 cups of chicken broth, juice from 2 lemons, salt to taste, olive oil, and oregano. Mix this all up together and then roast them. I suggest roasting them on parchment paper so they don't stay at 400 degrees until they are golden. So on this particular night, we have roasted chicken salad, which is gone. As you can see, I wanted to get a shot of it, but it was gone before I could. Usually 2 or 3 times a month, we have a pizza night. When I do pizza night, I always make up extra pizza crusts and extra pizza sauce so that we can have these for quick lunches for at least a couple days after pizza night. So I'll make up extra fixings, extra grated cheese, meats, and toppings. I like to do this because it guarantees that there will be at least a couple days where the kids are very happy about their own lunches. And of course, they like to assemble their own pizzas, so I let them do that. Hey, if you like basil, it's hard to find this time of year, get pesto and just mix that in with your pizza sauce. It's a really easy way to liven up your pizza sauce. I have a really amazing quinoa salad to show you guys in a second. It is just so good. And I also have a Asian-inspired ginger chicken soup. But before I show you those, I wanted to show you guys what's happening around the homestead. I have been having a lot of fun making more soaps and getting more creative. I will link to a video below where I talked more about my soap making ventures. I wanted to add some color to my soaps, so I started researching how to do that in a way that was dye-free because I don't want anything terribly bad for us in our soaps. And of course, that's when I learned about adding flowers and herbs to the soaps for some color. I got this package of dried flowers and they're all so beautiful. The package included such a wide variety of so many different kinds of dried flowers like rose, calendula, lavender, and many other kinds. I've had these for a couple weeks and I'm so excited to get to use them finally today. Since I only like making soap in the cold weather, my goal was to make enough to get us through until next January or February. I'm pretty sure I succeeded. We have about 3 boxes of soaps that I made and have curing. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use in this case, but I'm not sure what the right word to use is, so we're going to call it curing. After you make soap, you have to wait about 6 weeks to use it. I did something a little bit different with this batch of soap. I added coffee to it, so I have a coffee soap, and part of the reason I did that was for scent, but the other reason that I did that is my husband likes soaps with a little bit of scrubby power to them, and I figured the coffee would be just the right amount of grit. I've also read that coffee is supposed to help reduce the appearance of cellulite. So hey, can't beat that. If you are a regular around here, you've probably been wondering when we're going to get some door trim up. I mean, it's only been almost 2 years, right? I finally had it one day and I'm like, honey, I need door trim up. I can't stand the way this looks anymore. So on Saturday afternoon, my husband got the trim and he painted it and got it up, and it is just so beautiful. But then my daughter said, it looks good, but now we need to paint the door black. And I was like, you know what? I think that's a great idea. I had been deliberating for a long time what color to paint the door. And when she said black, I thought, I think she's right. While I was at it though, I realized it would be a good time to also paint the hutch. In one of my last videos, I moved this from the laundry room into the dining room. And although I liked it, the only thing I didn't like about it was that it looked so farmhousey. In my decor, I like to take more down a boho or a bohemian path. Well, one of you lovely subscribers suggested that I paint it black or charcoal to give it a more bohemian look. And it hit me that that is a perfect idea. I look for almost any excuse to paint something because I just love painting. So I went to the store and I picked up high endurance paint and I went to work. Recipes, and we're going to start with my Mediterranean inspired fig and feta with balsamic vinegar dressing salad. Now, served cold, this will be a salad. Served hot, it could be a pilaf. If you like a stronger cheese, I highly suggest swapping out the feta for blue cheese or gorgonzola. Those are my personal favorites.
When I first tasted quinoa, I thought I hated it. The first couple times I tasted quinoa. Turns out quinoa needs to be washed before you use it. Not only does it need to be washed, it's nice to soak it for a few minutes, but what really helps set the flavor off is first if you wash it and then if you toast it.
If you're looking for a way to level up your hamburgers, I have got a seasoning combo for you to try. feta cheese, jalapeno, and cumin. Mix this into your hamburger meat and prepare to be amazed. If you are looking for a way to stretch your hamburger meat when you're making hamburgers, one way that you can do this is to combine your hamburger with a less expensive meat like turkey, ground turkey. All right, now over here, my husband's gonna do a different kind of a burger. He's gonna do a taco-inspired burger. If you are doing partial ground turkey in with your ground beef, this makes them even better. We happened to find ground beef on sale. My husband stocked up on a few packages, so we have some to spare, and we're gonna indulge in hamburgers on this particular Saturday night. Hamburgers are one of our favorite dinners, but we only have them about once a month. A little trick, an avocado is really yummy on the taco burgers. Whenever we have hamburgers, we like to do a substantial side to help fill people up. And of course, we always make extra burgers for the coming week ahead. On this particular night, we're doing those Greek lemon potatoes, but another really good potato to do on hamburger night is home fries completely doused in chili powder and garlic and paprika. And of course, olive oil. I always make my own hamburger buns, and they are so good. These ones really sprang up. You guys, I'm really excited to tell you that on the blog, I now have almost all of my sourdough recipes, and they are printable. For my hamburger buns, I simply use my sandwich bread recipe. One day last week, one of my older boys asked if he could make Betty Crocker cake donuts, and I said, okay. He thought he could do it all by himself, but it wasn't very long after he got started that he needed help. That was a fun random twist to the day. Speaking of kids and cooking, we're gonna make some chicken ginger wild rice soup. I didn't think I was gonna like this soup. I'm really picky about soups, but I have to admit, this is one of the better soups I've ever had. I hope you don't mind, but I'm gonna do something a little different. I have 6 children, and I've been teaching the older 4 children how to cook. About once a week, I bring a couple of the kids into the kitchen, and we have a cooking lesson. So today I have a soup making lesson with 2 of my middle sons, and I thought I'd take you along.
Soup is one of those foods that can be really delicious and really nutritious if done right, but learning how to make really good soups is an art. Since soup is kind of a poor man's food, and I know that it's going to be something that will benefit my kids to know how to do when they first, start out in life, I'm trying to teach my kids the art of making the best soups because they're so much easier on the budget. And like I said, they're healthy and can be delicious if done right. All right, boys, so we have this leftover chicken from yesterday, and we want to make soup with it because this isn't enough food for our whole family. But if we make a nice, delicious soup, it will be enough. So you guys do you see how this turned to jello? The broth turned to jello? That's a really good sign. That means there's a bunch of collagen in here, and collagen is what we need for healthy skin and hair, healthy bones and joints. So we don't want to waste this. We don't want to lose that gelatin in there. We want to make sure that we put that in the soup. Now, optimally, what would have been better is last night if we had strained the juice into something else. That would have been better. If we had done that, then we wouldn't have to try to get the collagen separated from the chicken right now. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, but what we want to do is we have our pan here. But if we get a plate and then we just start peeling the chicken off the bone, and the best tasting soups are when it's shredded just perfectly. Some weird reason to me, if it's cubed, it tastes different than if it's shredded up into little pieces. And I'm not sure what it is about that. I guess when it's shredded, maybe it absorbs more of the flavor. I really don't know. It seems like it absorbs more juice and flavor though when it's shredded off and pulled off like this. So wash your hands, and I'm gonna have you boys separate all of this meat off of the bones, okay? And I'm gonna go gather some other ingredients for the soup. So boys, do you see these onion skins over here? I'm pretty sure I bought organic onion skins. So when we make our broth with the chicken bones, see these? We're gonna put these in it and they're gonna give more flavor.
If you're new here, I like to do a little devotional in all of my videos or just a little bit of scripture reading. And since I'm on the topic of teaching children, I thought that would be a great topic to incorporate today. I have the Holy Bible YouVersion app and I just love it. Lately, I have been doing a plan called Guiding Children, and it's by One Hope Barna. It's essentially about discipling and leading children. I do highly recommend it. In the first day, they talked about how family is one of the top influencing factors in a child's faith. In Proverbs 22:6, it says, direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. I had a friend who passed away some years back who pointed out that it doesn't say what might happen in the in-between time before they get older. That can be extremely stressful. As a homeschool parent, one of the reasons that I'm doing this, that I am going through the extra trouble of keeping my children home and homeschooling them, is so that they will have more time and opportunity to grow roots in Christ. In the study I was telling you about, it talks about how church typically gets such a small portion of time in a child's life. And it talks about how kids need more than that. The group that created the plan that I'm doing in the YouVersion app said that they did a study and found that once parents begin to let their children manage their own scripture engagement at around age 9, there's almost a 30% drop in the child's scripture engagement. It declines more around ages 10 and 12. So clearly kids still need parents to kind of show them the way. And it went on to talk about how they need this through the adolescent years. Something that my parents did when I was a teenager that positively affected my spiritual walk was we went through a Bible series together that studied Bible law. It talked about what the Bible had to say about pretty much everything you can imagine. Something that we are using in our family to learn more about the Word of God and stay in the Word of God and just grow our faith is we are using My Father's World homeschool curriculum, and I use it a lot differently than the program suggests. We end up saving pretty much all of the Bible readings and activities to do on Sunday, and my husband leads those. Like so many people, my husband is not ecstatic about teaching. It's just not his gift. He's got other gifts. However, even if you're not a natural teacher, your children still need to hear from you, and they need to hear your thoughts on matters. And of course, simply reading the Bible to your children is a huge benefit. One of the things we like about My Father's World and the Bible portion of the curriculum is that it makes it so easy. All my husband has to do is pick up the teacher's manual and basically read the pages on the books that are listed, and that's it. Now, the neat thing is that the more times that he has done this, the more exciting that the discussions become afterwards. There's a whole lot of learning, a whole lot of laughs that usually end up overflowing the living room. Anyways, it doesn't have to be My Father's World. You could get just about any plan out there. There are so many Bible study series out there for kids and curriculums that cover Bible topics for kids. It is a great place to start for any parent that is seasoned in teaching or just getting started in teaching. Some really beautiful Bible verses regarding children are Psalms 127:3. Children are a gift from the Lord, and they are a reward from Him. Matthew 19:4. Jesus said, let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these. Proverbs 17:6. Children's children are a crown to the aged, and parents are the pride of their children. 3 John 1:4. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. Deuteronomy 6:6-7. And this one is one of the ones that encourages me in my homeschool journey. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road and when you lie down and when you get up.
Can anybody guess how we're going to get all of that wonderful collagen? Yeah, how are we going to separate all that lovely collagen in there?
Eat the bone.
From the chicken. No, we're not going to eat the bones, silly. But what we can do is let's dump it in that Instant Pot, and we're going to heat it up. We're gonna get all of the rest. Yeah. But first we're gonna finish cooking. So we're gonna get all of this, the rest of it. See this right here? See that? That's more collagen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically melt all that off the bone. And the best way to do that I know of is in the Instant Pot. So let's dump all this in the Instant Pot. And then we'll be able to cook all of that gelatin, and it'll separate and come off, and it'll go into the liquid. We've got seasonings here. These are onion tops from our garden last year that we harvested. We have celery tops. Celery tops make almost any soup taste better. So we're gonna put celery tops in, and we're gonna put these onion tops in because they're gonna give more depth of flavor to the soups. Now with the celery top, you could end up putting too much in. Celery can be bitter if you put too much in. So we don't want to put too much in, but we're gonna do our bones with some of the celery top here. And we're also gonna do some of this onion. And like I said, if you wanna make any soup broth better, these are two things that you can put in. You just gotta be a little bit careful not to put too much celery top in. All right, this is ready to go. We're gonna Instant Pot this. What we have here is the last clove of garlic from last summer. Oh, I'm feeling a little bit reminiscent. One of the other things that you can always put in soup that will always make your soup better is garlic. And fresh garlic just cannot be beat. Okay, boys, as I look at the pieces of chicken here, I see some that are really big. So the point is we want bite-sized. I don't think anybody's mouth here is that big. So we want to shred this up a little bit more finely. We saute the onions before we just put them in the soup. If we saute them first, it helps to bring out more flavor in the onion. It also helps to keep the onion from being undercooked. There's just nothing worse though than a big old chunk of raw onion when you're eating a nice, warm, brothy soup. This is a little bit of an Asian inspired soup. It's gonna be, we'll save the jalapenos for later, but we've got onions in here. We're gonna put in some lemongrass. It's gonna make this really good. About a tablespoon of lemongrass. It's just one of those things that elevates your dish. The garlic will burn if you put it in the pan too soon. This is the ginger. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in there right now because these onions are just about done. Go smell that, it smells good. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the garlic in. You just keep that stirring now, okay? So it's good. It's almost done. Let's turn the butter down. This is a little less than a gallon. I want to say this is probably a pint less than a gallon, but you know, we're not measuring. What we want to do now is we want to bring this to a nice boil. So we're going to turn it back up. We're going to put some rice in now. You know where the wild rice is? Let's do wild rice. Okay, so for about that much, let's do about 1 cup of rice. Let's also do about a half of a cup of wild rice. Wild rice is really tasty. It's a little more expensive. Rice is a more affordable food. So if you're on a budget, which when you move out, you will probably be on a budget, rice is a very affordable food and it's very filling. Brown rice has more nutrition, a wild rice, and it also has a lot of nutrition. Go ahead and wash your rice now. You always wash your rice. Do you notice how pretty that looks together? Kind of looks nice, doesn't it? So what we want to do now is wait for this broth to boil. If you put that rice in right now, you're gonna have to stand here stirring it because it's gonna stick really bad. If you wait until this boils though, you'll be able to just dump that rice that we just washed, just dump it in here. Just stir it like once or twice and turn it down low on simmer and just let it simmer until we're ready to eat it probably. Now with the chicken, I like to put the chicken in last. If you put the chicken in and then cook your soup for a really long time, the meat will get overdone, and even though it's in liquid, it will taste kind of dry and a little bit chalky. So we don't want to put our meat in until it's close, maybe like within the last 15 minutes. If you put it in within the last 15 minutes, it'll absorb the flavors of the soup. It won't lose its own flavor and nice texture, but the texture will definitely suffer if you put the chicken in and then boil it for or simmer it for 2 hours. It won't be quite as good. At least that's my opinion. So one thing we haven't added to our soup yet is salt. So for about a gallon of soup, which is what we have about a gallon of soup here, we want to add salt to this. So let's add 1 teaspoon and see what it tastes like. You always taste as you go when you're adding salt. Yep, let's put another teaspoon in there. Okay, so this is 2 teaspoons of salt. Broth is not very good. It does not taste good if you do not have enough salt in here. And the reason we want to salt this now before we put the rice in is so that the rice has a better flavor. And it needs 1 more teaspoon. So it's a full tablespoon of salt. Wait a minute, let's use the Celtic salt because this is getting to be a lot of salt. We need to buy more Celtic salt. Do we have more Celtic salt over in the closet?
How many cups in a quart?
There are 4 cups in 1 quart. Let's add 1 more quart of water to this so it's a full gallon of liquid. Boys, we have jalapenos here. It would taste better if we put them in now, but we have younger kids here and the jalapenos are not going to taste good to the younger kids. So we're just going to save these aside for garnish, okay? All right, this is boiling so we can put the rice in, but we got to do this very carefully because you don't want to get splattered. All right, so we got the rice in. We're going to give it a stir now. And then we're going to turn it down on a very low simmer. In fact, we could put it over on the wood cook stove.